Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you've done everything right financially? You budget, you save, you even listen to podcasts that mention words like diversify and retirement planning. But somehow your life still feels one emergency away from falling apart. Now, if that hits a nerve, it's because there's a hidden side of financial literacy most people never talk about. We're trained to manage scarcity, not multiply abundance. That's the dark side. And it's not your fault. Take Henry. In college, Henry read every personal finance book he could find. He tracked expenses like a hawk, used budgeting apps, and proudly quoted Suze Orman at dinner parties. He avoided credit card debt like it was the plague and put every spare dollar into his 401k. By 35, Henry felt like a financial grown-up. But then, life hit him with a triple combo: a medical emergency, a job layoff, and a housing market downturn. Suddenly, all the smart advice didn't feel so smart. His savings barely stretched 3 months. His 401k? Untouchable without penalties. And budgeting? It doesn't help much when your income vanishes overnight. That's when Henry realized something nobody had ever taught him. Financial literacy doesn't prepare you for volatility. It prepares you to survive, not to scale. And survival isn't wealth. The traditional model teaches you to cut coupons and avoid lattes. But the wealthy? They're not worried about $6 coffee. They're mastering asset velocity, opportunity cost, and capital flow. Henry wasn't dumb. He was just educated in a system that glorifies discipline and demonizes risk. Because that's safer. For the system. Now listen. If this story feels like a mirror, don't panic. That just means you're waking up. And in this video, we're going to walk you through the real financial rules the wealthy play by, the ones no one teaches in school. Starting with this, the biggest lie about financial education is that it ends with literacy. But literacy is only the first layer. What lies beneath is where the real game begins. Let's move on to the next topic. And it might surprise you. Let's call it what it is. Most financial education was never designed to make you free. It was designed to make you manageable. The budgeting templates, the compound interest charts, the frugal lifestyle influencers, they're all part of a framework built to keep people financially responsible, not financially powerful. And here's the real kicker. The more educated you become under that framework, the more limited your options feel. Now, before we go any further, let me be crystal clear. This video isn't about bashing budgeting, saving, or discipline. But what we're doing today is stepping into the advanced class, the part no one tells you exists. So let's look at how this trap actually works. You're taught to follow safe paths. Get a job, save 10%, and maybe, just maybe, retire by 65. But what if you lose the job? What if inflation erodes your savings? What if the market tanks when you need the money most? Suddenly, all that discipline doesn't feel like leverage. It feels like a cage. That's the moment most people realize they were financially literate but strategically blind. Contrast that with how the wealthy operate. They use literacy as a foundation, yes, but they move fast beyond it, into ownership, opportunity scanning, and asymmetric risk. They don't wait for financial security to give them permission. They build it through momentum, access, and strategic debt. They don't play it safe. They play it smart. With buffers and backups, the system doesn't even want you to know exist. This is why the title of this video isn't just provocative. It's necessary. The dark side of financial literacy, and why the rich learn something else, isn't about shock value. It's about revealing the limits of the tools you were given and opening the door to the ones you weren't. And the next trap? It might be the most dangerous of them all. Let's talk about oversaving. We've all heard it. Save, save, save. It's the first commandment of financial literacy. And while saving is essential, here's the problem. It's been weaponized into a comfort zone. Most people treat saving like a life raft, but a life raft can't take you across the ocean, and if you cling to it too long, you never build the ship. Let me tell you about Maya. She was a school teacher who followed every rule. She lived below her means, clipped coupons, packed lunch, and saved religiously. By 45, she had $100,000 saved in her bank account. But the money just sat there, slowly eroding from inflation, earning less than 1% interest. Until her younger brother, a risk-taker who started a niche logistics company, suddenly began out-earning her 5-to-1. See, Maya had what we call stagnant money. It looked safe on the surface, but underneath, it was shrinking. The wealthy don't just save, they strategize their savings. But the rest is mobilized into income-producing assets, leveraged investments, or even high-risk bets with asymmetric upside. Saving isn't bad, it's vital, but it should be a stage, not a destination. If all you do is save, you're playing defense your whole life. And defense doesn't win championships. Offense does, growth does. The dark side of financial literacy is that it praises caution without teaching courage. Because one of the most dangerous traps in traditional advice is this, the belief that hard work alone leads to wealth. But here's the truth. No one wants to say out loud. The system is designed to reward leverage, not labor. You work 40, 60 hours a week, maybe even more. You're tired, disciplined, doing everything right. But your wealth isn't growing. It's just surviving. Meanwhile, someone else works fewer hours but earns 10x more because they're not trading time for money. They're using assets, automation, or networks to multiply what they touch. Let's look at Chris, a freelance graphic designer who believed in the hustle. He juggled 4 clients, woke up at 5 a.m., burned the midnight oil, and barely had time to breathe. But he was trapped. No work, no income. He was a glorified hamster in a gilded wheel. Instead of piling on more clients, he created a design course, licensed templates, and hired help. His income didn't just grow, it became uncapped. Financial literacy teaches you how to work harder with money. Wealth literacy teaches you how to separate income from time. You're not broken. The system just never gave you the rest of the manual. There's a strange phenomenon that happens once people get responsible with money. They start handing it off to the financial advisor, to the bank, to the HR person who sets up their 401k. And while delegation sounds smart, especially in a world full of financial jargon, here's the problem. If you don't understand how your money works, someone else is making decisions with your future based on their incentives. We call this professional dependency, and it's one of the quietest killers of personal wealth. You're told to trust the experts, to not worry about the fees, and to keep investing in that target date fund. But here's the thing. Financial literacy was supposed to make you sovereign, not subservient. Take Angela, for example, a high-income earner working in healthcare. She made over $200K per year and had a private wealth advisor managing everything. For a decade, she didn't ask questions. Then one day, her friend showed her how to analyze fund fees and performance. Turns out, she'd been paying tens of thousands in hidden fees for results that barely beat inflation. And worst of all, she had no clue what she was actually invested in. That's the danger. The wealthy don't outsource everything. They hire experts, sure, but they stay involved. They learn the language. They ask hard questions. Because they know the second you blindly hand over your financial steering wheel, you might be driven somewhere you never wanted to go. So ask yourself, are you the CEO of your money or just a passive employee? If you want to break free from the dark side of financial literacy, you can't just be a student of money, you have to be a strategist. Now let's move on to one of the most under-discussed traps of all, the comfort of incremental wins. Let's talk about something that feels like success, but secretly holds you back, The comfort of small wins. Saving $50 a week, paying off a credit card, getting a small raise. These are good things, but if they become your ceiling, if you celebrate them as the final destination, you'll mistake maintenance for momentum. You see, the system rewards you for thinking in small moves. It pats you on the back when you save a few bucks or finally pay off that $5,000 balance. And yes, that's progress. But here's the kicker. Real wealth isn't built on small wins. It's built on strategic leaps, on moments when you shift your financial engine entirely. This is exactly why the title, The Dark Side of Financial Literacy, matters so much. Because the system wants you to feel like you're making progress, as long as that progress keeps you in the system. The rich, they measure differently. They don't track net worth just to feel good. They track leverage points. They ask, where does my money multiply? What decisions will 10x my life in 5 years? Not what gets me a gold star today? Let's use Eric as an example. He was proud to have saved $20,000 over 4 years. That's a win. But when an opportunity came to buy into a small business with a high upside, he hesitated. Too risky, too fast, he stayed safe and watched his friend turn a similar investment into $150K in 2 years. Eric didn't lose money, but he lost time. And in wealth building, time is the most expensive asset of all. Small wins keep you safe. Big decisions change your life. And no, you don't need to bet the farm, but you do need to know when it's time to graduate from security to strategy. Now let's talk about the next trap. And this one hits harder than you'd think. The pride of going it alone. The lone wolf myth. There's a strange badge of honor in financial culture, especially among high achievers. It's the belief that doing it alone is nobler, smarter, or somehow more pure. But here's the truth. While self-reliance is admirable, isolation is a liability, especially in money. Financial literacy often celebrates individual discipline. Cut your own spending, build your own plan, hustle your own way. But wealth literacy? It knows something deeper. Leverage doesn't just come from money. It comes from people. Take Marcus. Brilliant guy. Taught himself investing, tracked every expense, built a $70K stock portfolio by 33. But he refused to network, saw partnerships as messy, thought asking for help was weak. And so, he plateaued. Meanwhile, his old classmate, less financially literate, joined a business mastermind, partnered with 2 mentors, and scaled an online business that passed Marcus in both income and equity within 2 years. That's not a fluke. That's the rule. The wealthy build alliances. They share information. They make calls when they don't know the answer. They don't hoard knowledge, and they compound it across trusted networks. Because they understand something most personal finance books don't teach. Money is a team sport at the top. So if you've been white-knuckling your way to financial freedom, ask yourself, is that grit or ego? Because pride can be expensive. And most people don't realize how much faster they could move until they finally stop doing it all alone. Now, the final trap is the most personal one. It's not about numbers. It's about identity. And it may be the one thing truly holding you back from stepping into wealth. Let's wrap this up with what no spreadsheet can ever show you, the identity trap. Here's the part no one prepares you for. You can learn all the tools, you can manage your expenses, invest wisely, eliminate debt, and still feel stuck. Why? Because deep down, you're still operating from an outdated identity. And this is the final, and maybe most dangerous, trap in financial literacy. It teaches you how to manage money, but not who you have to become to truly master it. You see, every financial decision is filtered through a story you believe about yourself. If you grew up thinking money is scarce, you'll feel guilty earning more. If you believe wealth is for other people, you'll subconsciously sabotage your own growth. If you still see yourself as the broke college student, the paycheck-to-paycheck parent, the underdog, no amount of budgeting will create the breakthrough you need. Because the story wins. But here's the flip side. And it's why this channel exists. That story is not permanent. You can rewrite it. Every new strategy, every new mindset, every bold financial move, it's not just about your money. It's about shifting who you believe you are. That's why we called this video The Dark Side of Financial Literacy, and why the rich learn something else. Because until you outgrow the story you were handed, you'll stay trapped in a cycle of playing small. Not because you're lazy, but because deep down, you still think you're not that kind of person. Well, here's the truth. You are. You can be. You will be. The moment you decide to write a new chapter. If you found value today, I highly recommend watching my next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also, feel free to leave your comment below, especially if this video made you think differently. I appreciate your support more than you know. Until next time, stay sharp, stay sovereign, and above all, stay moving. See you in the next one. Money Magician.